Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're back at the Tony Reid Podcast show. Tonight, I am honored to have Dr. Michial Gill on the show with me, and we're going to talk about an upcoming event, which I also will be participating in. But tonight, we want to talk about the history of the BLK Roots Culture Expo, which is coming up in Randallstown, Maryland, which is right outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And Dr. Gill is here to share his information on the history of the expo, how it got started, his position on it, and all of that. So, welcome, Dr. Gill.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. So, let's just jump into this because for me, I'm excited because I've never been a part of something like this. You've talked about it. You've had in different cities last year where you had, was it 3 or 4 last year?
Three events last year.
Okay, yeah, 3 events in other states. And it's been going well. You get citations from the local governments about it. And it spotlights several authors who participate. You have speakers and an array of just information that comes out of it. So let's start with you and how you got started with this.
Well, thank you for having me first. I really appreciate the opportunity. You mentioned the BLK Roots and Culture Expo. That's the event that we have coming up in Randallstown, Maryland, February 1st. But this is an arm of a larger business called the Book Butler Publishing Company. A good friend of mine, Mr. Aaron Butler, started the publishing company back in 2019. He had 2 high school daughters who decided they wanted to write children's books.
Okay.
And he decided if they're going to write books, then I'm going to publish them. And so he started a publishing company, and it's grown since then to have several arms and offering several kinds of services. But his daughters wrote 3 books that first year. Fast forward now, one just graduated college, the other will graduate next year, and they've written 9 books.
Wow.
With now their younger brother who joined them. So between the 3 of them, they've written and co-authored 9 books. The Book Butler Events is an arm of the Book Butler Publishing Company, and that's where we get at the BLK Roots and Cultural Festival, our expo.
When did this start? What prompted you to come together and say, we want to turn this into an event for spotlighting other authors?
Very good question. When he decided to do the publishing company, he had several authors who had come to him looking for some guidance. Many people, and I'm sure we know lots of folk that are in this same boat, many people have thoughts about doing books. They've got all kinds of ideas in their head about something they'd like to do. And so he decided that if he was going to have a publishing company, he also wanted to be able to help people develop their ideas. And so in that realm of wanting to help others, he decided to do some other services with the publishing company rather than just publish. So we do ghostwriting, we do mentoring with authors or soon-to-be authors. We do workshops. We did something in Annapolis last year called the Aspiring Authors Workshop for just those people who have the idea about writing a book, the idea about doing a book of poetry, but just haven't done anything yet, or some people who have started notebooks and keeping things in writing. And so we've been working with people to develop those ideas. There have been several individuals who've come to us that say they have an idea about writing a book, but just don't know how to do it. And so we've sat with them to put their ideas on paper and actually ghost wrote the book for them. So we do ghostwriting also.
So this event is just not about authors and books and all of that. You also highlight other things that are going on there. I understand in DC there were food vendors, there were other vendors who could participate. They go online, they sign up, and they have tables and all of that. tell us about everything else that's being offered
Okay.
on this day.
Yeah, one of the things that we try to do with the business is we try to give people that are creative an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
So we do open it up to not just authors. We started out just doing an author expo. The first thing we did was in Woodbridge, Virginia, and we did a Black Author Expo. So we had about 40 Black authors, but we knew lots of other creatives who had ideas about things they wanted to do. You know, people making jewelry, people who sew, crochet, and make other kinds of handmade things. And so we wanted to be able to give creatives an outlet to put their wares in front of other people that they might not necessarily see. Same thing with the authors. Some people have these things on their shelves, and so we want to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves to the public so that they have the opportunity to read these books and maybe find the next best author that they like.
Okay, let me stop you for one moment because I know the people listening or hearing this. Let me say this up front, ladies and gentlemen. The event is free to the public. Okay, let me say that again. It's free to the public. So if you're thinking about it or you're trying to figure out if you wanted to do this, it's free. Now we can move on.
That's a really good segue too, because it is good to know everything we do is free and open to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't charge the public for anything. Authors pay a fee to participate and vend. The food vendors pay a fee to vend. But everything is always free and open to the public.
And usually the events, from what I read about the history so far, it's usually well attended with 300 to 400 people at a time because you have so much to offer there. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of time and effort that has gone into this event. So coming out and taking the time, it's a 4-hour event, right? And so you come, it's like a day party with knowledge. That's how I look at it. So you have vendors, you have knowledge, you have presentations, you have music. I understand that this one you're going to have a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The Black Roots and Cultural Festival is a one-day event, February 1st, 11 a.m. till 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
There will be something happening in 3 spaces in the community center. The marketplace, as we call it, is where the authors will be. We've got 20 Black authors who will be there. Some of authors of books and novels. We've got many people who've done books of poetry, but we've got 20 Black authors that will be there. The other 12 or 13 people we've got are non-author vendors. So we've got the jewelry makers, people that make grocery bags, since we know we have to pay for grocery bags these days. We've got somebody who actually hand sews or sews and makes bags to carry your goods in. Crocheting, knitting, hats. We've got one gentleman who does wood artwork that will be there with us. So there's a variety of vendors who will be there. In another space, we've got presenters who will be there. Tony Reid will be there talking about fitness and mental health, particularly, if I'm correct, Black men's health.
It will be centered around definitely mental health and prostate cancer also.
Right. And then we've got a third space where we'll have performers. We've got a new duo out of the DC area who will be there. We've got Miss Black Maryland for 2025 who will be there hosting the space, as well as she'll be joined by Miss Black Eastern States, who will be her co-host in that space. Performing on the main stage at the beginning of this, we'll have Miss Kelly Reed, who will be doing an a cappella performance of Lift Every Voice and Sing. We've got the Johns Hopkins Unified Voices choir who will be there to render a few numbers. So we'll have a variety of things going on in the 3 different spaces. So that's kind of something for everybody.
I always like to think where something starts and then the vision of this project. Where do you see it going for not only just for authors or the whole project itself? Where would it be, say, in the next 5 years? Where do you see it going?
we'd like to be all over the place. Right now, we've mostly been performing in the DMV, putting on these events in the DMV. South Carolina last year was the first event we had out of this area in another state. And it was a big success. We had a book lovers expo and food truck festival there. In the next 5 years, we'd like to be all over the United States. We'd like to be able to put these kinds of events in almost every state.
Okay. Now, two things. We'll need the website that people need to go to. And do they need to RSVP to attend the event?
You don't need to RSVP. However, we do have a way you can get free tickets on Eventbrite. So if you go to Eventbrite or go to our website, you can get free tickets. But you do not need a ticket to come. Okay. It's free and open to the public. You just need to show up and come on in.
Okay. Can you give them the website again?
The website is BBPCevents.com. The BLK Roots and Culture Expo, Saturday, February 1st, 2025, at the Randallstown Community Center in Randallstown, Maryland, 11 a.m. till 3 p.m.
Dr. Gill, thank you very much for dropping by.
Thank you.
Take care.